The operational update regarding the Russian invasion was on June 27, 2022. The 124th day of the heroic resistance of the Ukrainian people to a Russian military invasion continues. Russian occupiers continue to launch missile strikes on civilian targets in Ukraine. Today, in Kremenchuk, Poltava Oblast, a Russian rocket hit a shopping center where civilians were staying. The number of victims is currently unknown. Rescue operations are underway. Demonstrative and provocative actions by units of the armed forces of the Republic of Belarus in the areas bordering Ukraine are not ruled out in the Volyn and Policia areas, as well as the intensification of intelligence to clarify the positions and nature of our troops. Air and missile strikes from the territory and airspace of the Republic of Belarus are expected to continue. Once again, we urge you not to ignore air alarm signals. In the Seversky direction, units of the armed forces of the Russian Federation continue to be located in the border areas of the Bryansk and Kursk regions to restrain the actions of units of the defense forces. The enemy fired mortars near Pokrovka and Starikovo, Sumy Oblast. The enemy also used jet artillery in the areas of the settlements of Porozhok and Verkhnya Pozhnya, Sumy Oblast. In the Slobozhensky direction, the enemy is defending previously occupied positions, trying to prevent the advance of units of the defense forces and their entry to the state border of Ukraine in the north of the Kharkiv region. Intelligence is trying to find weaknesses in the defense of our troops. In the Kharkiv direction, the enemy, to regain lost ground, tried to carry out assault operations in the area of the settlement of Dementivka, had no success, and withdrew. Also, Ukrainian soldiers successfully repulsed enemy assaults in the direction of Davilivka and Zaliman. The occupiers are taking measures to quickly disguise and try to mislead our units, for which they are installing wooden models of tanks on the defensive positions. In the Slovyansk direction, the enemy is trying to improve its tactical position and create favorable conditions for the attack on the settlements of Barvinkov and Slovyansk. Continues shelling. Trying to take control of Mazanivka, the enemy launched an offensive from the area of the village of Dovhanki. It received a strong rebuff from the Ukrainian defenders and withdrew with losses. In the Donetsk direction, the enemy continues to focus on attempts to surround the defense forces near the city of Lysychansk, trying to blockade the city from the south and southwest. Takes measures to replenish the loss of personnel, weapons, and military equipment. The enemy did not take active action in the Kramatorsk direction. Mortar and artillery shelling was recorded in the Lysychansk direction in the areas of the settlements of Lysychansk, Verkhnokamayanka, and Soldar. The enemy led the offensive in the direction of Vovkoyarivka Verkhnokamayanka, has partial success, and is consolidated south of the Lysychansk refinery. To distract the efforts of our troops, he led the offensive in the direction of Pidlis and Lysychansk, had no success, withdrew. In the Bakhmut direction, it fires artillery of various calibers in the areas of the settlements of Berestov, Kleinov, Bakhmut, Vershina, and Travniv. Our soldiers successfully stopped the enemy's reconnaissance attempt by fighting in the area of Berestovo and the offensive in the direction of Midna Ruda, Kleinov. In both cases, the occupiers withdrew. The enemy has partial success in the direction of the Rody Vershina, trying to gain a foothold at the intersection of the E40 highway. In the Avdiivka, Kharkiv, Novopavliv, and Zaporizhia directions, to restrain the actions of our troops and prevent their transfer to other directions, the enemy fired mortars, tanks, barrel artillery, and jet artillery at the areas of the settlements of Pizki, Avdiivka, Katarinivka, Chervon, and Malinivka. It struck an airstrike near Krasnohorivka. Ukrainian soldiers stopped the occupiers' offensive in the direction of Petrovsk-Shevchenko and pushed the enemy back. In the South Bud direction, the aggressor continued to fire at the positions of our troops with mortars, tanks, barrel artillery, and jet artillery along the entire line of contact. The enemy may carry out assault operations in certain areas to reach the administrative borders of the Kherson region. In readiness to launch missile strikes on objects on the territory of Ukraine, the enemy holds 2 carriers of cruise missiles of the naval base caliber. Our units continue to successfully carry out missile and artillery fire missions in certain areas and inflict casualties on the occupiers in close combat. We believe in the armed forces of Ukraine. Together to victory. Glory to Ukraine.